something. Hold on, I gotta make sure I'm live. Hold on. Make sure I'm looking at it on my phone. Okay. Yeah, so let's see, remember this back in December when RRHA was RRHA, we went out there and they was cutting down the trees, but Keisha Cummins had been telling us for a little while, but we was kind of slow to react, for real, for real. She was telling us like, yo, they keep cutting down trees around Raven Street, but we didn't know it was happening like all over RRHA. Then when we went out there, I was out there with this lawyer right here. She was out there with us, Maisie. She worked with us at Legal Aid Justice Center. Um, she is part of the Civil Rights and Racial Justice Program. But we was out there for a Christmas event, that the residents had done with that Keisha had kind of helped them put together and stuff, and we was just contributing to it. But yeah, they was like, oh, they cutting the trees down. But so I found I'm about to let's see, I'm gonna see if I can look and try to find this other thing. Now I'm gonna show it to you. Show you this other document or this other video that we can now watch. Here it is there. So they're gonna be talking about the oh dang, okay, here's back there. All right, there you go. They're gonna be talking about the dang, did it come back up? Okay, there we go. I see it now. Okay. It took me a little while, a little delay. All right, so watch, listen up, and they're gonna talk about this incident with them cutting the trees down and what happened.
On a larger scale, the curb appeal project is literally an attempt to improve our appearance from the building structures, landscape, etc. One of the things that we identified and have known for some time is that a lot of the trees throughout our developments were installed at the time of the development, which dates back to the early 40s.
I really don't understand what that means. Like, trees are supposed to be old.
1940s to 1950s.
It's like they're just...
So you have trees that are literally 50 to 70 years old.
Trees are supposed to be old.
Or later. With that being said, those trees have created some adverse impacts to our residential structure.
Some of them have.
In the like roofing, gutters, downspouts, the facades, all have suffered some level of staining or deterioration as a result of these older trees and their canopies overhang, whether it's sap, tree limbs, leaves,
so what?
etc.
It's called maintenance.
And we could not argue the request of the city that this is, an obvious eyesore for anyone riding by and glancing at our building.
Are an eyesore.
And as they drive by, or even if they're walking the city sidewalk.
I done heard it all.
So
trees are an eyesore. You done heard it here
trees that
from
exist,
RRHA.
the canopies, they have been pruned throughout the years. In pruning, of course, you're not removing the entire canopy. You're attempting to remove dead limbs or branches, etc. But it does not address the fact that a lot of these trees have begun and significantly decayed within the trunk, and the limbs are just a liability waiting to happen. The liability so much so that the agency, RRHA, has been paying for pruning and attempting to replace roofing and address drainage, but ineffectively because the source of these issues have not been adequately addressed.
This is bananas.
All of that being said,
this is
it was
bananas.
An ultimate decision to proceed with removal of trees throughout various developments. Mosby being one that was identified specifically because in this past spring, we had a visiting neighbor or visiting family member of one of our residents pull into the Raven Court property. There was a storm event going on at that time. Nothing out of the ordinary for a late spring, early summer. Some mild winds and rain. and this young lady pulled into a
It was pretty
available
stormy.
parking spot along the curb. Fortunately, she got out of the car pretty quickly and went into her family member's unit. And within minutes, one of these subject trees toppled over onto her vehicle.
Yeah,
Now,
that happens
we
during
recognize
storms.
a vehicle can be replaced, but had minutes been different, we could be talking about a life, some level of,
Lightning can strike
injury,
and kill people.
debilitating injury, or life-changing injury.
This is, I don't know, yo.
That's all it takes.
I don't know. I don't
So
know if, like,
keeping all of those things in
legally,
mind,
I don't even
and
know if that's
after
what
doing
he.
a survey
Wait,
with
hold on. Let
the,
me pause. Hold on. Wait. I'm not even sure. I don't know. I feel like that's bullshit, but I don't know. I don't do that kind of law. I don't work on that kind of law. You know what I'm saying? But the whole liability thing, like, I don't know if, like, I don't know if that's true. That for that matter, isn't that like if a tree that the city, like if any tree that's on a city property or like city easement, any tree that falls on people's cars, then isn't the city then liable for that? I don't. I feel like you have to have like a reasonable expectation of some shit that something's gonna bad could happen for it to be you to be held liable. So I don't know. I feel like we're gonna have to get some answers on that. Y'all get some answers on that. We gotta get answers on that because that shit don't seem right.
Arborist hired with Davy Tree Company, who
Okay.
also does work for the city of Richmond and is familiar with.
Okay. Now Davy Tree Company, they saying that's an arborist. Okay. All right. Okay. I thought that they just cut trees down, but I don't know. I don't know if that means that I don't know if that means that they study trees or whatever. I don't know. All right.
The process, it was agreed that a lot of these trees are a liability. Therefore,
Well, how did wait? That doesn't make sense. How can they determine that it's a liability? Don't you need your lawyer to determine that? I don't know. Of course, they're going to tell you that it's a liability so they can get paid.
With Davy Tree Company, who also does work for the city of Richmond and is familiar with the process, it was agreed that a lot of these trees are a liability.
Well, let's see. You got 50 trees over here. I'd say about you got a good 40 of them over here that are liability. We're gonna have to get you to cut all these down, huh? Yeah. What you say? You got a bunch of black folk around here. Hell, don't they like the sun? I hear they close to the equator, boy.
Therefore, all of that said, thanks to Joe for giving me some kudos for responding to the failure of one of our plumbing lines at 901. I was the first to admit that I failed to communicate to the residents about our intention. I know Mr. Naismith admitted as CEO he takes responsibility, but I reminded him while I informed him, and he's had communication with the mayor and their staff through making no excuses. I did not create a communication plan with Ms. Angela Fountain, who has helped me on other projects to communicate to residents. I failed to do so in this case, and thus, unfortunately, we got the onslaught of inquiries from residents. I want to say some tree advocates, city council, and other city representatives. With that said, the bigger picture
But they
we
still
do have in writing.
they still have not talked to residents out there. Like residents still have not heard nothing about the updates or when. I hope it's not like they're just trying to let it die down and then come back later and when nobody's paying attention, just start cutting all the rest of them down.
As part of this plan is to naturally replant trees that were going to be removed, and that being consistent with the city program, where typically a tree that's removed, let's just say for the sake of a 12-inch diameter tree, but that's probably not a good representation. Let's just say a 48-inch diameter tree. That's the trunk. And we have trees larger than that. Now, for every diameter that we remove, we propose to replace trees in 2-inch calibers. So, for instance, if there's a 48-inch diameter tree, at a minimum for that area and acreage or square footage available, we would replace with 2-inch caliber trees. And one of the things that the city noted to me and the team, I believe Charles and Angela Fountain were a part of that call, is that the 1-inch caliber tree doesn't tend to survive, and you end up having or attempting to replant. So there is a replanting process proposed. We do have a landscape architect under contract.
This is bananas. This is bananas what he is proposing. Like the idea that you can plant trees, right there to replace trees that already been cut down. I don't know. That seemed kind of ridiculous. I don't even think like the tree roots won't even grow right there because the other tree roots are right there. Like this is crazy.
While we have not secured a proposal, we are scheduling a site visit
Yeah, of course.
with Studio 27 Architecture throughout a landscape architect under contract. While we have not secured a proposal, we are scheduling a site visit with Studio 27 Architecture throughout the community team to further advance this process of tree removal. And again, that's not just for Mosby. It will apply to the 5 other big 6 outside of Creighton because of its pending development. And once those trees are removed, we are better confident that the real improvements to our buildings, our residential buildings, our apartment dwelling structures, we have contracts in place for power washing, gutter replacement, downspouts, new roofing, landscape improvements. These larger trees have made our current topsoil and grassy areas or landscape areas deficient of nutrients to maintain grass or to maintain even the minimal.
He said the trees are messing up nature, yo. The trees are messing up the soil. These folks, wow.
Tolerant landscape bed. That's why you see a lot of the old landscape timbers barren. A lot of the grass areas around these trees are barren because in any rain event or any type of precipitation, liquid precipitation outside of snow, they absorb all of.
This man does not live in public housing, like, nor do I. So I mean, I feel like I would ask people, you know what I'm saying, like ask people like Marilyn O's or people that and current people, because Marilyn O's and some of the elders, they were there since those trees were small. Like we can go to them right now and say, like, yo, was it, because I know that it was very luscious. Oh man. going back? Are we back? Are we back? Can we go back? I wanna go back. Take me there, take me there. Take me there. I wanna go back. Take me there. I wanna go back. Take me there. Take me there. All right, let's see. All right, let's see. Is this the right one? Yeah, yep. All right, I'm gonna start it back from where we were left off at.
That moisture. So there's a bigger picture here, and it wasn't an attempt to just remove trees and do nothing, but again, the ability to communicate the bigger picture to our residents, that I take, responsibility for failing to do so, is where the attention unfortunately came in the wrong light. I don't take that lightly, as again, I take responsibility for that. Since Mr. Naismith and I, along with Miss Angela, communicating with city representatives, council persons, and I believe also with the commissioners present and others who may not be, as to the bigger picture. So again, I apologize for the undue press, comments, and things of that nature, but there is a bigger picture involved to improve our curb appeal, the appearance of our buildings, the functionality of our buildings, and improving the communities in which we live.
Madam Chair, if I may, please.
Yes.
So I deeply appreciate Robert telling me that taking responsibility. But as I have shared with my executive staff and my staff, is that as CEO, I take responsibility.
Yeah, I think you should take responsibility as CEO. I definitely do. I agree.
When something goes wrong, buck stops with me. I don't care. I will never go to the board or anyone else and say Robert Spain or Angela Fountain. No. My personal management style is if something goes wrong, I go to the board or I go to whomever and I say,
all right, I think this is all.
And this is how we're going to fix it.
It looks like this is all. It's going to be said about the trees.
You saying that, Robert, but
I'm going to leave this video up so y'all can rewind and see what happened.
That's my thing. So, and then going forward on this, as I think Robert indicated, we're going to go out with a very, very robust communication plan and outreach.
And we're going to tell these residents what we're going to do. We're going to let them all know.
We missed it on this time. So it's a communication issue.
Because that's better.
And we're going to do that. And I believe, as what you said there, Robert, we need to communicate to folk in the community that we will be working with, what is the arborist, I guess, and to make sure these things get replaced back. And we're going to have a communication.
At no point are they talking about getting input from residents. They do not care.
Right before anything is done.
Yes, sir. You're correct. We do have a certified arborist under contract. He is one of the program managers for Davy Tree Company. And, again, in some of our on-site walkthroughs, he did make mention of, how communicating to residents could help us. It does not mean that the special interest groups will still not take a stand or maybe even, bring some residents to support their position. But the communication
bring
plan
residents
just
to support their
broader
position.
Knowledge of our intent. Our intent is not to create a heat test.
They think that people are bringing, that special interest groups are bringing residents with them to push forward the special interest agenda. Like, that's kind of what it sounded like.
That's a relative, but the communication plan just creates a broader and, or maybe even, bring some residents to support their position. But the
when he says their
plan
position, it sounds like he's saying the position of the special interest group. Like, he thinks that residents don't have a vested interest or don't have a position. I don't know. That's what it sounded like.
A broader knowledge of our intent. Our intent is not to create a heat desert. That's a relatively new term to me. 105 degrees is 105 degrees, whether it's a 10-year-old tree or a 100-year-old tree. But I get it.
Wait, what?
Term to me. 105 broader knowledge of our intent. Our intent is not to create a heat desert. That's a relatively new term to me. 105 degrees is 105 degrees, whether it's a 10-year-old tree or a 100-year-old tree. But I get it.
Oh my God. What? I don't think you do get it. I don't think you do get it, my brother. I don't think you do. Let me run that joke back. Let me run it back. He said he just heard of the heat deserts. I mean, heat island.
Not to create a heat for their position, but the communication plan.
It's a heat island.
A broader knowledge of our intent. Our intent is not to create a heat desert. That's a relatively new term to me. 105 degrees, 105 degrees, whether it's
you hear the CEO. That's a new term for me as well.
year-old tree or 100-year-old tree. But I get it.
I don't think you get it, my friend. I don't think you get it.
Sure that the residents understand that we're not being deficient of a long-term plan and not just removing something without providing something in place of what we're removing.
You cannot
to Mr.
something
Davis' point,
in place.
We have all of the information.
So if it took 40, 50 years for the tree to get to the level of where residents value it for shade and whatnot, and you replace it with something that's like a couple years old or less,
necessary, sort of maybe a detailed plan of replacement, but the landscape architecture is on board. Studio 27, they're under contract already with the housing authority. It's just a matter of getting them on site with us, with the arborists, and agreeing to, an appropriate and a clear path of replacement, and allowing the city to have some buy-in to that. And then once between the city and the housing authority are, in agreement and comfortable with what we're proposing, clearly going forward to the residents gives us a little more horsepower into this not being just a one-off or an isolated incident. Any questions?
Robert, this is Joe. I'd like to make a comment if I may.
Absolutely, Joe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And
supposed to address
I
the
say
the
I am
chair.
a tree hugger with the best of them, but there are instances where the trees are just not our friend. The falling limbs can injure us, maim people, kill people.
Now, don't get me wrong. I do think that there is a time when trees can be unsafe if they looking dead. If they're really dead, you know what I'm saying? Like, then yeah, you gotta, you might gotta do something to mitigate that. But that is not what the trees and the housing authority were or are. Like, you might. That's gotta be rare. That is rare.
We've also had issues with limbs along power lines, and I also have to use Davy Tree, as you know, to do about $25,000 worth of tree pruning along the power lines in Gilpin and Mosby. And we've actually had fires because of tree limbs encroaching on power lines before.
Yeah, sounds like more delayed maintenance. Sounds like more delayed maintenance. Like you guys haven't been pruning them very well. I remember when one of my colleagues used to be advocating for that, talking about that the trees needed to be limbed around Wickham and all of that. That was when I learned that word limbing. You used to say that. But yeah, that's what it sounded like to me.
It is something that we have to be mindful of with our trees. They're not always our friend. But that being said, I try to utilize the best professional resources we have to make sure we're doing our tree maintenance in the best way, and and I know that you are because I use the same guy for the work I have to do.
What work does he do?
Joe, there were no car or weather analogies in your comments.
Give me a minute, think of one.
Yeah, to that point brings me to a project I worked on a few years ago.
I mean, listen to that. All right, well, there you have it. I'm gonna end it now, and yeah, because I just want this one to just be about the trees.